The arrival of the consortium. The gleaming spires of New Geneva sparkled in the morning sunlight, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. It had been 50 years since the Great Unification, an era marked by unprecedented peace and prosperity that followed centuries of conflict and division. Dr. Aisha Patel stood at the window of her lab in the Global Science Institute, gazing at the cityscape with a mix of pride and anticipation. At 32, she was the youngest lead researcher in the Institute's history, her work on quantum entanglement communication revolutionizing humanity's ability to explore and colonize the solar system. Mars, Europa, and Titan now hosted thriving human settlements, all instantly connected through the quantum network she had helped create. Gentle chime from her desk interrupted her reverie. "Dr. Patel," came the AI assistant's voice, calm yet urgent. "You're needed in the emergency briefing room immediately." Aisha frowned. Emergency briefings were rare in this age of stability. She hurried through the Institute's corridors, her mind racing with possibilities. As she entered the briefing room, she was surprised to see not just her scientific colleagues, but also military personnel and government officials from around the world. Their holographic projections flickered around a circular table, casting an eerie glow on their anxious faces. At the head of the table stood Admiral Chenwei, her usually stoic face etched with concern. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began, her voice grave. 45 minutes ago, we detected a massive object entering the solar system at speeds we previously thought impossible. The room's central hologram sprang to life, displaying a massive crystalline structure that defied description, beautiful yet terrifying in equal measure. "It's slowing down," Chen continued, "and will reach Earth orbit in approximately 6 hours. The room erupted into a cacophony of questions and exclamations. Aisha's mind whirled. First contact after centuries of searching the stars. They had finally arrived. Chen raised her hand for silence. "There's more. 17 minutes ago, we received a transmission. You'll see for yourself." The hologram shifted to reveal a being composed of living light. Its voice resonated not just in their ears but also in their minds. "People of Earth," it began, its tone neither friendly nor hostile, but coolly indifferent. "We are the consortium, guardians of galactic order. Your species has been observed and found wanting. Your potential for violence, your unpredictability, your rapid technological advancement all pose a threat to the delicate balance we have maintained for eons." The being paused, allowing its words to sink in. Chill ran down Aisha's spine as it continued. "You have 2 Earth rotations to surrender control of your planet and colonies to the consortium. Those who comply will be relocated and re-educated. Those who resist will be eradicated. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy for defiance. Choose wisely." The transmission cut off, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. Admiral Chen's voice was tight with controlled fury as she addressed them. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing an existential threat. I need options, and I need them now." The room exploded into action. Military strategists began assessing Earth's defensive capabilities while diplomats argued over negotiation possibilities despite the alien warning. Scientists huddled together, desperately trying to understand alien technology that glinted ominously on their displays. Aisha's mind kept returning to her quantum entanglement network. If they could adapt it, perhaps they could coordinate a defense across the solar system. But would it be enough against a civilization capable of crossing interstellar distances? Hours passed in a blur of frantic planning and debate as Earth's leaders reconvened at last. The holographic projections of presidents, prime ministers, and other heads of state filled the room like ghosts haunting their own demise. "We cannot submit," declared the President of the African Union firmly. "Humanity has faced extinction before, from our own folly or natural disasters. Each time we have emerged stronger." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. "But if we fight and lose," cautioned the Chinese premier, raising a hand cautiously, "we risk annihilation." And if we surrender? Aisha found herself speaking up unexpectedly. All eyes turned toward her as she swallowed hard, but continued. If we give up without a fight, we lose everything that makes us human. Our free will, our creativity, our very essence. I say we stand and fight, not just for our lives but for our right to live them as we choose. Silence followed her words before a ripple of agreement spread through assembly. The President of the United States stood resolutely. Dr. Patel is right. Humanity has never backed down from a challenge. And we won't start now. We will fight not because we are stronger or more advanced, but because we are fighting for something worth dying for, our freedom. One by one, world leaders voiced their agreement. Earth would not surrender. They would stand against the consortium at any cost. As people rushed to prepare for conflict after that meeting adjourned, Aisha felt a mix of terror and exhilaration wash over her. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet, and she was determined to do her part to ensure their survival. Little did the consortium know they had just awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity with its back against wall was about to show why one should never underestimate human spirit. Time was ticking. Earth had less than a day to prepare for war unlike any it had ever faced before. But across labs, military bases, homes throughout planet, and beyond, a singular resolve was forming. Humanity would not go gently into that night. They would rage against dying light. In labs across New Geneva, where Aisha hurried back into hers amidst chaos unfolding outside, her mind already racing with ideas, she couldn't help but feel glimmer hope amidst despair. Yes, the odds were stacked against them. Yes, they faced a technologically superior foe. But if human history taught anything, it was this. Sometimes most insignificant variable in equation could change everything. Humanity, with its unpredictability, its tenacity, its sheer stubborn will to survive, was anything but insignificant. As Aisha dove back into work alongside scientists around the globe preparing defenses, a sense of urgency enveloped them all like thick fog, a reminder that every second counted as they fought against time itself. In that moment, a collective determination surged through them, a promise made not just amongst themselves, but towards future generations who would inherit this world they fought so hard to protect from impending doom. A world where freedom reigned supreme over tyranny, a world where hope could flourish amidst darkness. And so began humanity's defiance, the clock ticking down towards inevitable confrontation with unknown enemy looming ever closer on horizon. A battle not just for survival, but also for dignity, for identity, for right to exist among stars, all resting upon shoulders willing rise above fear, to fight back against oppression threatening consume them whole. With every heartbeat echoing within walls surrounding them, Aisha knew one thing above all else. They would not go quietly into that good night. They would rage against dying light with every ounce strength they possessed, because in heart of every human burned desire not merely survive, but thrive amidst chaos unfolding around them. Testament resilience woven deep within fabric existence itself. Legacy worth fighting for at all costs. Humanity's resolve. The atmosphere in New Geneva was electric, charged with an urgency that had not been felt in decades. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, Dr. Aisha Patel sat at her workstation, surrounded by holographic displays flashing data and simulations. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more desperate than the last. The consortium's ultimatum had sent shockwaves through every corner of Earth, igniting a firestorm of determination among its inhabitants. Aisha felt a sense of camaraderie with her fellow scientists as they worked tirelessly to adapt her quantum entanglement technology for defense purposes. This was no longer just about scientific advancement. It was about survival. Across laboratories and military bases worldwide, teams were collaborating like never before, pooling their knowledge and resources in a race against time. In a hastily organized meeting room within the Global Science Institute, Representatives from various nations gathered to discuss their next steps. Military leaders, scientists, diplomats, and strategists filled every seat, their faces reflecting a mix of fear and resolve. Merle Chenway stood at the front, commanding attention with her presence. "We have less than 2 Earth rotations to prepare," she began, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "We cannot afford to waste time debating our options. We need actionable plans." Aisha watched as heads nodded in agreement. This was not a moment for hesitation. She raised her hand tentatively, but felt an overwhelming urge to speak up. "Admiral," she said, her voice clear despite the tension in the room, "I believe we can create a defensive shield using quantum modulation techniques. It won't be perfect, but it could significantly weaken their attacks." The room fell silent as everyone turned to her, weighing her words carefully. Admiral Chenway's eyes narrowed thoughtfully before she responded, "How soon can you implement this?" As discussions continued late into the night, Aisha felt an overwhelming sense of pride swell within her chest. Humanity was rising to meet this challenge head-on. Unity in diversity. In cities around the globe, from bustling metropolises to remote villages, people united in ways previously unimaginable. Scientists collaborated across borders via secure quantum channels, while artists created murals depicting hope and resilience on walls that had once divided them. Social media exploded with messages of support. Hashtags like #UnitedForEarth trended worldwide as citizens shared stories of bravery and solidarity in anticipation of what lay ahead. Amidst this backdrop of unity, Aisha found herself reflecting on what it meant to be human, to be part of a species capable not only of destruction, but also incredible compassion and creativity when faced with adversity. She recalled tales from history where humanity had risen against overwhelming odds, stories passed down through generations that spoke not just about survival, but about thriving against all expectations. As dawn broke over New Geneva, once more, a new day filled with uncertainty yet brimming with possibility. Aisha knew one thing: they would fight not just for themselves, but for every future generation that would inherit this world. A world where freedom reigned supreme over tyranny. The calm before the storm. With just hours left until the consortium's deadline approached, a tense calm settled over Earth, a momentary pause before chaos would reign once more. In military command centers across nations, strategies were finalized while technicians triple-checked equipment, ensuring everything was ready for deployment when needed most. Aisha stood before her team in New Geneva, a determined look etched across her face as she addressed them directly. "We may not know what tomorrow holds, but I believe in each and every one of you. Together we can make history. We can show them what humanity is truly capable of." Cheers erupted around her. A chorus of voices filled with determination, echoing off walls surrounding them. A reminder that despite fear lingering just beneath surface, they were ready. They would rise together against whatever came next. As preparations continued throughout day, the sun began its descent once again, casting long shadows across cityscape, reminding all who looked up at sky above that darkness loomed ever closer, but so did light. The light forged through unity, the light forged through hope. And so it was that humanity stood poised on brink battle like never before, prepared face unknown enemy looming ever closer, ready prove themselves worthy stars above. The battle for Earth. The air was thick with tension as Earth prepared to face its greatest challenge. In New Geneva, the Global Science Institute had transformed into a command center, buzzing with activity. Dr. Aisha Patel stood at the heart of it all, surrounded by holographic displays that flickered with data streams and tactical maps. The consortium had arrived, and their presence loomed over humanity like a dark cloud threatening to unleash a storm. As dawn broke on the third day since the ultimatum, Aisha gathered her team in a makeshift war room. Her eyes scanned the faces of her colleagues, scientists, engineers, and military strategists, all united by a singular purpose: survival. "We need to be ready," she said, her voice steady, but laced with urgency. The first wave of attacks could come at any moment. Colonel Javier Rodriguez, who had been assigned to oversee military operations, nodded gravely. "Our defenses are in place, but we need to anticipate their tactics. They will not hold back." With that, they turned their attention to the holographic display, showing Earth's orbital defenses. A patchwork of ships from every nation, hastily assembled but brimming with determination. Each vessel represented humanity's resolve to fight back against an enemy that had underestimated them. The first wave. As predicted, within hours of dawn, the consortium launched its first wave of attacks. Small, sleek fighters emerged from their mothership like predatory birds swooping down on unsuspecting prey. Aisha watched in horror as they descended toward Earth's atmosphere, their weapon systems primed for destruction. "All ships, engage." Admiral Chenway's voice crackled through the comms as she commanded Earth's defense fleet from the bridge of EDF Defiant. Aisha felt her heart race as she witnessed the chaos unfold on her tactical displays. Earth's defenders sprang into action, forming a defensive perimeter around key cities. The first engagements were fierce. Earth's ships lacked advanced technology, but made up for it with sheer numbers and unyielding spirit. Aisha could see that even as some ships were destroyed in fiery explosions, others pressed on undeterred. They fought not just for survival, but for every life on Earth. "Brace for impact," Colonel Rodriguez shouted as everyone scrambled to reinforce their defenses. Aisha watched in horror as energy beams lanced down toward cities like New Geneva and Tokyo. Her quantum shield flickered under pressure but held firm against some strikes while others breached it, devastating entire blocks in an instant. "We need more power," she yelled desperately as she worked frantically at her console to stabilize their defenses. "If we can modulate our shield frequency." But before she could finish her thought, another beam struck nearby, sending shockwaves through their facility and knocking everyone off their feet. Turning point. As night fell over New Geneva, once again, it became clear that humanity was being pushed back despite its valiant efforts. Cities lay in ruins, fires burned where homes once stood, families huddled together amidst chaos and uncertainty. Yet even amidst despair, there was resilience. Refusal to give up hope. People banded together in shelters sharing resources, while others took up arms determined not just survive but fight back against oppression threatening to consume them whole. In those dark hours when defeat seemed imminent, Aisha found herself reflecting on what it meant to be human, to be part of a species capable not only of destruction but also incredible compassion when faced with adversity. She remembered stories from history where humanity had risen against overwhelming odds, stories passed down through generations that spoke not just about survival, but about thriving against all expectations. As dawn broke over New Geneva, once more, a new day filled with uncertainty yet brimming with possibility. Aisha knew one thing. They would fight not just for themselves, but for every future generation that would inherit this world. A world where freedom reigned supreme over tyranny. Desperate counterattack. With each passing hour, the situation grew more dire. However, Aisha refused to succumb to despair, instead focusing all her energy into finding solutions amidst chaos unfolding around them. In military command centers across nations, strategies were finalized while technicians triple-checked equipment, ensuring everything was ready for deployment when needed most. Admiral Chenway convened another meeting with world leaders via holographic projections, flickering around them like ghosts haunting past decisions made too late. This time there would be no hesitation. They needed action. "We cannot afford any more losses," she declared firmly, addressing those gathered before her image projected across screens worldwide. "We must launch a counterattack. A coordinated strike aimed directly at their mothership." Gasps filled room, followed by murmurs among leaders unsure whether such bold move would succeed or only lead further devastation. But Aisha felt surge hope rising within her chest. If they could disrupt alien forces even momentarily, they might just turn tide in favor. "We have drones ready for reconnaissance," she spoke up again, feeling weight responsibility heavy upon shoulders. "If we can gather intel on weaknesses within their defenses, we can exploit them." One by one, the leaders voiced agreement. Plans were set into motion as humanity prepared itself not merely defend, but strike back. As preparations continued throughout day, the sun began its descent, once again casting long shadows across cityscape, reminding all who looked up at sky above that darkness loomed ever closer, but so did light. The light forged through unity, the light forged through hope. And so it was that humanity stood poised on brink battle, like never before, prepared face unknown enemy looming ever closer, ready, prove themselves worthy stars above. A desperate plan. The battle raged on outside the crystalline chamber, the echoes of conflict reverberating through the vast expanse of the alien mothership. Dr. Aisha Patel lay sprawled on the cold, hard floor, her heart racing as she struggled to regain her bearings. The Overseer's energy blast had thrown her across the room, and now she scrambled to her feet, her eyes darting around for the quantum resonator that had slipped from her grasp. "Colonel Rodriguez," she shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. She spotted him and Captain Maya Yoshida rallying their team against a swarm of alien defenders, their forms shifting and pulsing like living light. Aisha's mind raced. They were outnumbered and outmatched, but they couldn't afford to give up now. "Get to the energy source," she yelled, pointing toward the pulsating core at the center of the chamber. "That's our target." Rodriguez nodded, determination etched on his face. "Cover us," he commanded his team as they pressed forward, weapons raised against the oncoming tide of energy beings. Aisha pushed through the haze of fear and uncertainty that threatened to overwhelm her. The resonator was more than just a weapon. It was their last hope. The chance to disrupt the consortium's control over their technology and turn the tide of battle in humanity's favor. A flicker of hope. As they fought their way toward the energy source, Aisha felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. The mediator, the alien that had shown signs of sympathy, had been right about one thing. Humanity's spirit was unbreakable. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the very essence of what it meant to be human. To explore, to grow, and to thrive. Suddenly, a blinding flash illuminated the chamber as another energy burst erupted from the Overseer. Aisha dove to the side just in time, narrowly avoiding being engulfed in its destructive force. She could see Rodriguez and Yoshida struggling against overwhelming odds, their determination unwavering even as they were battered by waves of alien energy. "Keep pushing," Aisha shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. "We're almost there." But as they neared the core, it became clear that time was running out. The Overseer was gathering energy for another devastating attack, one that could obliterate them all in an instant. The final stand. In a moment of clarity amidst chaos, Aisha spotted the resonator lying just beyond reach. With renewed determination, she sprinted toward it, dodging blasts of energy that crackled dangerously close. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest as she reached down and grasped it tightly. "Got it," she yelled triumphantly as she turned back toward her team. But before she could make it back to them, a massive surge of energy erupted from the Overseer, sending shockwaves through the chamber. "Doctor," Rodriguez shouted as he shielded Yoshida from the blast with his own body. The force knocked him back against a crystalline wall, but he quickly regained his footing. Aisha felt a rush of anger and desperation welling up inside her. This was not how it was supposed to end. Not after everything they had fought for. She raised the resonator high above her head, its surface shimmering with potential energy. "Listen to me," she shouted at the aliens surrounding them. "We don't want this war. We're not your enemies. We only want to live." The mediator flickered uncertainly at her words, its form dimming slightly as if considering her plea. But before it could respond, The overseer unleashed another wave of energy aimed directly at Aisha. "No!" Rodriguez bellowed as he lunged forward, but it was too late. In that split second before impact, Aisha felt an overwhelming surge of power coursing through her body. A connection to something greater than herself. She focused all her will into the resonator and activated it just as the energy beam struck. Quantum cascade. The resonator pulsed with blinding light as it absorbed and redirected the energy from the overseer's attack. Brilliant cascade of colors erupted in all directions, an explosion of quantum interference that rippled through both human and alien forces alike. The chamber filled with a deafening roar as systems began to fail across the consortium fleet. Energy beams flickered and sputtered out. Alien ships lost power mid-flight. Chaos reigned within their ranks as confusion spread like wildfire. Now is our chance." Aisha cried out over the cacophony as she rushed toward Rodriguez and Yoshida. "We have to disrupt their systems while we can." With renewed vigor, they charged toward the pulsating core at the center of the chamber, the heart of the consortium's technology. As they approached it, Aisha felt an electric charge in the air. A sense that they were on the brink of something monumental. "Cover me," she shouted again as she reached out toward the core with trembling hands. The resonator thrummed with energy in response to her touch, amplifying its power exponentially. Choice. But just then, a powerful voice echoed through their minds, the overseer's voice resonating with authority and anger. "You will pay for this insolence." Aisha turned to face it defiantly. "No, you will pay for underestimating us. We are not your subjects. We are human beings." The mediator flickered uncertainly beside her. Perhaps there was still hope for understanding amidst this chaos. In that moment of confrontation between light and darkness, between oppression and freedom, Aisha realized that this wasn't merely about survival. It was about forging a new path forward, a chance for coexistence rather than conflict. With one final surge of willpower fueled by humanity's indomitable spirit, she activated the resonator fully, the brilliant explosion enveloping everything around them in blinding light. Aftermath. When Aisha opened her eyes again, she found herself lying on cold ground amidst wreckage, smoke rising from what remained of both human ships and alien technology alike. The chamber now eerily silent save for distant alarms echoing throughout Mothership's remains. Slowly getting up, she scanned surroundings, her heart racing with uncertainty, but then relief washed over her when she spotted Rodriguez, helping Yoshida to stand nearby. Both battered but alive. "We did it," Rodriguez gasped breathlessly, a hint disbelief coloring his tone, but joy sparkled within his eyes too. Aisha felt tears prickling at corners of her vision. This victory came at great cost, but they had proven themselves worthy against overwhelming odds, and perhaps even opened door towards understanding between species once thought irreconcilable. As they emerged from wreckage into what remained outside, a sight greeted them unlike any other. The consortium fleet lay scattered across space, some ships adrift while others burned brightly against dark backdrop stars above. And there, amidst destruction, stood Earth's defenders united together celebrating triumph against all expectations, a testament resilience woven deep within fabric existence itself, a legacy worth fighting for at all costs. In that moment, a collective determination surged through them, a promise made not just amongst themselves, but towards future generations who would inherit this world they fought so hard to protect from impending doom. A world where freedom reigned supreme over tyranny, a world where hope could flourish amidst darkness. And so began humanity's defiance, the clock ticking down towards inevitable confrontation with unknown enemy looming ever closer on horizon. A battle not just for survival, but also dignity, for identity, for right exist among stars, all resting upon shoulders willing rise above fear, to fight back against oppression threatening consume them whole. With every heartbeat echoing within walls surrounding them, Aisha knew one thing above all else: they would not go quietly into that good night. They would rage against dying light with every ounce strength they possessed. As dawn broke over Earth once more, it marked not just beginning new day but also new chapter in history where humanity stood united ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with courage burning bright like beacon guiding them through darkest nights.